This week, I've got a very simple tip for you if you're getting anxious before you socially interact with somebody. It might be a business meeting you're attending. It might be an interview for a job. It might be that you're about to present in public. A few weeks ago, I gave you a different tip, and this one is just as practical, just as simple, and as always, backed by psychological research. My name is Jonathan Bradshaw, and welcome to this week's Metology Minute. Yes, if you've studied metology, if you've heard me speak one of my presentations, or indeed come to our training workshop, our metology masterclass, you'll know that the subject of metology that my team of psychologists and I have created is divided into 5 areas: prepare, connect, interact, resolve, influence, the Pecari model. And the first one, P, prepare, I come back to very often in these metology minutes, because although we don't always get a chance to prepare to socially interact, we bump into people randomly, when we do have a chance, it's really important to focus on how we're thinking and feeling before we go into a social situation. As I said, public speaking, job interview, some leading a team, some situation at work where perhaps your levels of anxiety in relation to what you're about to do go higher. Now, a few weeks ago, I mentioned about clenching your left fist. Here's another one. Psychologists at University of Illinois, University of Southern Mississippi in 2010 in the US found that what we can do is ask ourselves a question. Internal dialogue we're talking about here. Often motivational speakers and the like talk about us advise that we say, I can do anything, I can get that job, I can public speak. All very well. Much science behind it? Perhaps less so. There is science behind the idea that you should turn that around from a statement to a question. I can public speak. Instead of that, how about, can I public speak? Can I lead this team? Can I excel in this job interview? The idea is that when we start asking questions, we start finding solutions. Subconsciously, I think, in some respects. We're asking our brain to here's a problem, try and find a solution. It's called interrogative self-talk. That's the psychological area we're talking about here. Look it up. Interrogative self-talk. The idea that asking ourselves questions can stimulate us to thinking about ideas, solutions, opportunities, situations that could work for us. So this week's simple tip: positive statements, all very well, but ask yourself a question in your internal dialogue. It could help you get in the right mental state and perform at your very best when you're interacting socially next time. Have a great week wherever you are in the world. I'll be back in another 7 days' time with a Metology Minute for next week, exploring the fascinating science powering world-class social skills. See you in 7 days. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.